ice cold.
We're here today because we've been doing a bit of travelling recently, and when you go somewhere, or when we go somewhere, we make an effort to check out the area, go and look at old historical buildings and just places of interest, and then you sort of end up thinking, oh, this is an amazing place, wouldn't it be nice to live here? Then we came home. I thought, we don't really look into interesting places where you live. And I was thinking, I wonder if you did look into local laws, legends, history, is where you already live just as interesting as somewhere else in the world you travel to? So this little series is going to be exploring local legends, law or history. It's a different letter each week. This is the first week, so it's letter A. And I started to pull a thread where I'm sat here, called Holywell, the earliest recording, going back to 1206, which is a long time ago. And there's references to it being used to cure eye disease. So I started to look into that, and then that linked to an old infirmary that we had in Southam, and the building's still there. There's a chap called Alastair Robson who wrote this book, A Prophet in His Own Country, who is a general practitioner for 30 years in Warwickshire, has written about a biography about Henry Lilley Smith. Loads of research, really good book, so I'll link that below. And it talks about the Warwick House, which was an infirmary a couple hundred years ago, or in the 19th century. It was set up to help treat the working class in and around Southam. This place is really beautiful. You know, it's knowing that it's at least 1,000+ years old. It's quite amazing. So it was restored in 2004, 2005. And there's some gargoyles at the front, which I think may have been taken from a church at some point, maybe a local church. Everyone knows it, everyone walks past it. When we've got hot dogs on walks, isn't there? You know, there's a bit that they can run through and cool down. So it's very pretty. So yeah, let's go to the next piece of thread. This is where the thread that I pulled from Holywell ended up, because I learned that they use the water to treat eye infections and eye conditions. So you find this memorial here, innocently sat by the side of the road. This stone marks the site of the dispensary cottage used for the purpose of the first self-supporting or provident dispensary in the kingdom. And that is what it sounds like. Henry Lilley Smith. This is a very short version, with a group of people set up a clinic and dispensary for the working class. Upon the plan afterwards, so successfully adopted at Coventry, Northampton and many other places. He provided his services entirely without any charge. In 1823, opening this provident or self-sufficient dispensary, which was next to this monument here. Despite sustained professional opposition, by the end of the century, many more provident dispensaries for the working class have been established. So self-sufficiency being recognised as best practice principle in the land within the United Kingdom, with additional support from the state. This was adopted by Lloyd George in his National Insurance Act of 1911. So the reputation of Henry Lilley Smith has really nearly been lost, and I think that's why Alastair Robson, he recognises or feels that it's a really important biography and piece of history that needs to not be forgotten. So yeah, really good book, a really important piece of history in sell them. And it's been a real pleasure finding it and just seeing how important it is to something that's a massive piece of the fabric of our society in the UK, which is the NHS. You know, it's that kind of principle and thinking of free healthcare for everybody. It's something we feel very passionately about over here, and to see that that principle was very much an early adopter, or maybe even the first in Salvan's, marvellous. So who'd have thought, looking into a bit of history at a well in town would have led to finding all that out. Cool, huh? I'm looking for different topics, different places to investigate, and there is some really interesting stuff that's come up locally. And the point of this really is there might be a lot more to where you live than you realise, and it can maybe change how you feel about the place. The more I keep digging, the more I find. There's an iron bridge near here that's been made a particular way, and it's the biggest one in the world. Cheston Windmill, which I filmed a lot with my drone, that features on the front of the manual for this camera. There's also the Roll Rope Stones one I have a look at possibly doing, so I'd like to do some legend and lore, not all history, maybe some myths and legends that are kicking around, see if there's any truth in them. But it's been really good. So there's a lot more going on where I live than I appreciated when I first started this little series, and I think gives you a bit more of an appreciation for where you live. My feet are getting so cold, that really aches. Top half of me is really hot. It's 30 degrees in the UK. We're not used to this. Ooh. And then my feet are ice cold. Don't slip.